That was my hand. Hey, what's your Stephanie? Welcome back to Changing Scripts. Okay, so we had our washing machine, clothes washer, whatever it's called, broke last week, and it's now fixed. But between that and the massive rain in Shanghai, my entire living room is now drying clothes with lots of fans because we got to catch up. So I am in a slightly different part of the apartment, and I love these little guys, these little tissues. They're not Chinese, they're Japanese. They're from a Japanese, not Daiso, but another Japanese dollar store called Miniso, which is at least all over Shanghai and other places in China. Anyway, I wanted to do an update video, which has nothing to do with tiny packets of tissues, but since I'm in a slightly different part of the apartment, I wanted to explain my surroundings. Alright, I'm in a much better mood now that I actually studied for, I want to say like 45 minutes. I did some contacts with some folks from the conference, which was already incredibly fruitful again. There's talk of starting a, not just a speaking group, which already exists, but a kind of like motivation, touch-based, talk about methods and things kind of group, which I'm really excited about because I need some folks in person. I met a few people at the conference that I think will turn into that kind of thing one-on-one, but to have a group of people that check in with each other regularly and motivate each other to keep going, I think that's really powerful, and I think that would be a really good thing to do. With my schedule, I don't know how that's going to work because I travel a lot for work, but you know what? You fight for what you need. So I'm going to do that. So I wanted to reset my goals for this week, even though I'm not feeling that motivated, to be quite honest. I feel slightly intimidated by the multilingual folks that I have met over the past few days, and I think that's ridiculous, so I'm trying to get out of my own way and keep going anyway, because they may be really good at learning languages, but they also put in a lot of work, and to just sit here and moan and go, oh, I suck at languages, doesn't do me any good. So I'm moving on. I promised after the conference I would revisit the Rapid Literacy in Chinese book, and holy cow! Now that my brain has finally processed the conference and all of that stuff, I finally had the ability to open the book up and take a look at the contents, because I haven't really had the bandwidth to do that for a while. And I am so excited about this book, it is ridiculous. He breaks down for each lesson, and because I'm using the tripod for the selfie stick for the first time, I think if I turn it around, I will lose you. You will fall into the bed that I'm sitting on, so I don't think that's going to work. So I'll just try to hold up the contents here. So for example, for lesson 1, there's 1 page of vocabulary, and then at the bottom, he's got the sentence, one of the reading sentences that are practice. The first time at the bottom, it's with the Hanzi characters, then the pinyin. The second time is just with the characters. So I think, if you want to practice without the pinyin, he has the second one there. Really good idea. Really good idea. So I guess the first one is with the training wheels of pinyin, and the second one is without. Then on page 2, there's more vocabulary. And then it looks like little kind of flashcard thingies, and what I ended up doing by accident was just looking at them and saying them out loud, which I think may be the point. I'm horrible at reading instructions, so I haven't actually read how he recommends to use the book, except for the different lessons that it's split into. So lesson one, and there's I think 20 some lessons in here. And then if you turn the page, there's 2 more pages. Page 3 for lesson 1 is different grammar exercises, and then there's, I think, comprehension exercises. I'm not really sure. I haven't done all of lesson 1 yet, but what I'm really excited about is I'm able to combine the vocabulary in here and the reading in here. Yay! Well, the vocabulary from the reading in this book with the end of my Sensible Chinese course. It goes together really, really well, because in the course, what we've gotten to is Kyle's talked about the different stages, not just of reviewing, but of, again, learning and processing and inputting the information into your head and spending that time with the characters, specifically the Chinese characters, because as you can tell by the name of the course, Sensible Chinese, it's about learning the Chinese language. So spending the time to get to know the characters, sit with them, process them, decompose them, do what you need to do, make up a picture if you need to, if that works, but spend that initial time with them. So he is recommending, he is a fan of Anki, but understands how time consuming it is, and I'm really glad of that. So he's using Pleco, the Chinese dictionary app, which is just amazing. I can only gather how many years they spent building this thing. So we're using that to make like flashcards and to review. So what I just did in, I swear, 10 minutes is I already did, there's 2 pages of vocabulary that I just showed you. One of the pages I was already able to input all 30 vocabulary words into Pleco, into its own deck. And I'll be putting the second page, which is mostly like months of the year and some numbers that I know and things like that. So I'll be putting that second page in there tonight, and then over the next few days I'll be able to process those cards. So by the end of the week I think I'll be reviewing them, and they'll just be in the I've made a deck just for this just for this book, because there's 750 most common characters. That's what he says. That's what Zhang Peng says. 750 characters are in the example reading sentences for this book. So by the time I'm done with the book, I will have 750 common words, sorry, not characters, common words of the Chinese language in this Pleco flashcard deck. I'm very excited to move on to words, by the way. I am. Anyway, so my point is, with Anki, I did like a 50 card challenge day, which literally took me the whole day. Whereas with the Pleco one, which gives you, you don't have the image that you can have with Anki, and you can't change the format of the card, but you can have all the other stuff, like you can decompose the words into characters, you can decompose the characters, you can see example sentences. It still has the sound, so I can practice that word in and of itself. And it has a lot of things connected to it that would take me forever to import into Anki. So I think for now, at least for the end of the Sensible Chinese course, and probably for the end of this reading book, I'm going to stick with Pleco flashcards, even though it doesn't have the images that I find really help me. I think what I'll have to do is, in the processing part, I can consciously stop. Sorry, it just keeps moving. I'll also have to consciously stop myself and force myself to create an image in my head and then deal with that. So I think I'm going to have to do that. But what I have to remember this time is, okay, I've put those 30 words already into Pleco. Now I need to sit down with paper, and this is the difference in the past few months, and I have to remember this. I have to sit down with paper and process those words. And whatever that entails, I've got a list from Kyle of like the possibilities of different things I can do to process them. And from making the Anki flashcards, I know kind of what resonates with me. So I'll probably be drawing goofy pictures and things in order to get them initially into my head. Then I'll be using the tests within Pleco to review with the spaced repetition software. So I have to remember to process them. So I think that's going to be really good, because I'll be on trains quite a bit this week, and so I'll be able to very easily have paper out and spend time doing that. Not just reviewing, but processing and getting them into my head first. And the carrot at the end of this stick is that I'll be able to read 1 to 2 sentences with each of the sections of this book. So it's almost immediate gratification, really, on being able to read and hopefully understand my spacing issues, if not get over my spacing issues with words in Chinese sentences, because right now that's still really challenging for me to wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around it. But with the first lesson, I'll be reading a sentence. I'll be reading this week. Hey guys, I'm gonna read this week with like 30, 40, 50, I think 50 words total I'll be reading this week. Okay, sorry, I'm really excited about that. I'm so excited to read. I don't think any of these are super stimulating sentences, and I don't care. They're common words, and common words are what people use to talk to each other, not highfalutin super advanced vocabulary, which I may or may not ever get to in Chinese, but words that are commonly used help communication happen. Yes! I'm gonna read. Anyway, so I wanted to update it. So I'm going to really pull in the reins on my experimentation with apps this week. And I'm just going to be using Pleco and this. I'm not even going to practice sounds outside of Pleco, honestly, this week. I really need to finish this course, the Sensible Chinese course. So I'll be listening to those lectures, dealing with Pleco, and carrying around and processing the initial vocabulary in this book. That's it. I'm not doing any more. I'll probably eventually come back to playing with other apps as I find them, but right now I need to focus for a few weeks until I get into reading, and that becomes more of a natural process for me. I need some serious study time before I start playing again with the apps. I'm so excited to read. Okay, so that's my goal for the week. I will do another update video next week to update you on how it went, and who knows, maybe I'll read a sentence to you next Sunday or Monday. How crazy would that be? All right, thank you so much. Sachian.